You know it's this. Take a perk and a talk of that shit. Money swallowing like sis. Did it perfect in the kid. Got a billion who sang on my head. Look up better. Put on the road I just spent. I know we got $1 million. The devil that shit ain't not cheaper again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the second part of What If Deku Enters Sonic the Hedgehog. Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of Pixel's Fanbook on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. The morning sun rose over Muse as everyone awoke from their beds to just ready for the new day ahead of them. In a particular apartment complex, south of the city, in a particular apartment and in a practical room where it had posters of various heroes, a blue snowboard that had scratches on the bottom of it, a green emerald that was placed on desk with photos near it and various amounts of clothes laying on the ground, laid a green-blue highlighted-haired teenager in his bed while he slept peaceful, oblivious to the world around as he dreamt. While he slept, he was so oblivious to reality, that he didn't hear his door open and the footsteps that followed. Whoever was the one who entered his room and was making the noise was tiptoeing towards the bed of the teenager and then came to a stop once they reached the teen's bed and to where he was laying. Soft giggling could be heard as the person who was beside the bed started to bounce in place as if they were preparing for something and they were as they suddenly jumped in the air and over the bed with the teen still sleeping in it. "Oane-chan. Time to wake up," shouted the little person as they descended to the bed and landed onto the teen with both feet hitting the teen's stomach. "Ugh." The teen groaned out in a sudden wake-up call and from the pain that the wake-up gave to him. This was izukumidoriya, who has been woken up in the most painful way as the little person giggled, seeing the hurt and stunned expression on Izuku's face. Eventually, Izuku recovered from the wake-up method and sat up from his bed to see who did it. "Eri. Don't ever do that again," Izuku said while holding his stomach. "But Big Sis Oka and Big Sis Mina told me to do that is how to wake you up," Eri said, causing Izuku to look at her with a thought that he could swear he saw Ochako and Mina laughing together as if they knew that they told Eri to wake him up had worked. "Oh, did they now? Oh, they're so going to pay." Izuku whistled to himself, already thinking on revenge over his best friends for telling Eri on how to wake him up. "Oni-chan, you are you thinking about?" Eri asked, seeing Izuku was thinking but didn't hear what he said. "And nothing. Just thinking on giving two people presents." "Yeah, presents," Izuku said, trying. "Really? Can I have one?" Eri asked. "Maybe later, if you're good," Izuku said. "Okay," Eri said with a bright smile, causing Izuku to smile as well at the sight of his little sister's smile. "That's right, your ears and eyes aren't deceiving you. The same little girl Izuku saved back then is now his little adopted sister. And I know you what to know as to how this came to be. So, I'll take you all back. Back to the night Izuku bumped into Eri and took her from what was her danger." Flashback. Izuku, Inko, Mina and Ochako were sitting in the waiting at the hospital, waiting on the condition of the girl Izuku brought home with him and took to the hospital to get her. Eventually, a doctor walked into the waiting area and went to them. "The Midoriya family?" the doctor asked, making the four to look up and see him. Upon seeing him, they rushed to him. "Yes doctor, that is us. Is everything alright? Is she alright?" Inko asked, worried on the little girl's health. "Yes, there's nothing to worry about. She's just unconscious and a little bit shaken up. From the symptoms that we could tell from her. We think she was in something that could go at high speeds and she simply passed out from the speed and shock she got from it," the doctor said, which caused Izuku to start sweating a bit. "Young man, you said you were the one who saved the girl from whatever she was running away from in the city. Did you see anything in the area you and her were in that may have been the cause of her condition?" The doctor asked Izuku, who started to get nervous. And no, Izuku stuttered a bit as he started to sweat a bit, seeing the faces Inko, Mina and Ochako were making to him was not helping him at all. Okay, well. Other than that and the fact she looked a bit malnourished. She'll be just fine. The doctor said while looking at his chart. Oh, that's good news. Inko said, feeling better to hear that the little girl would be okay as Mina and Ochako continued their stare towards Izuku, who was looking at the exits. But the doctor looked a bit disturbed as he had something else to say to them. But we did found something else where we cut off the bandages on her arms and legs and it's quite disturbing. Like what, doc? Izuku asked as the doctor took a deep breath and sigh before telling the four what they discovered. We found that she had multiple scars on both her arms and both on her legs, the doctor said, waiting for the family's reactions. The girls stopped their stare down on Izuku as all of them were stunned at what the doctor just said. What? Inko asked, stunned at what the doctor just said. Yes. She has scars on her appendages. Most look a bit fresh and some look old. Some, a couple of months old and a few, a year old. The doctor said to the four as they were appalled at the fact that the girl was subjugated to this type of horror. So what'll happen to her? Ochako asked, fearing for the little girl's safety. Well, we'd normally go to the authorities and child support and ask to see if she has any living relative out there that could possibly take care of her, but I don't think that'd be a good idea. If the person who did this to her were able to track down any of her relatives that were assigned as her guardian, they'd possibly kill them and take her again. The doctor said. Let us take her. Izuku said, causing everyone there to look at him. Excuse me, young man. The doctor asked. Let us take care of her. You said it yourself, the people who did this to her would try anything to take her back to the hellhole she escaped from when she bumped into me. I saw how scared she was when a voice called out to her. You should have seen what state she was in when we bumped into each other. She was shaking in fear and begged me to not let them take her back. I don't want to see her like that again. Please let us take her as one of us. Let us be her family. Izuku begged. I don't know, Inko said, but the look Izuku had was enough to tell her everything. Please, Mom. Please do this, not for me. But for her. Izuku pleaded as Inko looked at him. She sighs because she knew that her son wasn't going to give up on this since he inherited his father's stubbornness. Oh, really? I guess we can adopt her. Inko said, making Izuku shocked at what she said. Really? Yup. I guess it'd never hurt to have one more Midoriya with us. Plus, I've always wanted a daughter. Inko said before Izuku went and gave her a massive hug. You're the best mom. Thank you. Izuku said, smiling that his mom agreed into taking care of the girl. Inko smiled and returned the hug. Ochako and Mina were smiling at the scene of mother and son hugging. Alright, I'll go and contact the police and child support to draw out the papers. The doctor said as he started to leave the family and... Hey doc. Izuku called to the doctor, making him stop. Yes. Do you know what her name is? Izuku asked, making the doctor smile. Oh, I'm glad you asked. While we couldn't find anything on her surname. She did say her first name right before she passed out again. Her name is Eri. Flashback end. Izuku smiled at the memory of the day their lives changed. After talking to the authorities and doing background checks, the Midoriya family got a new member to the family. At first, Eri was scared for Inko and the girls but was attached to Izuku as she felt safe with him. They knew that because Izuku was the one who saved her and basically became Eri's security blanket. After some convincing and talking from Izuku, Eri finally started to warm up to Inko and the girls and their families, and she started to call Inko Mama, Ochako and Mina her big sisters while Izuku filled the role of big brother for her. Izuku walked out of his room with his gym outfit on and walked into the kitchen to see his mother was busy preparing breakfast with Eri helping her by setting up the table. He grabbed an apple off the table. I'm going for a run. I'll be back soon. Izuku said as he made his way to the front door. Okay sweetie. Be safe and have fun on your run. Bye Oniai-chan, Eri yelled to Izuku while waving at him. Bye. Izuku yelled right before he closed the door and made his way to his stomping grounds. Takoba Municipal Beach Park. Izuku was now on the restored beach as he was wearing his gym outfit and was stretching his legs. He was on the north side of beach, which is about 15 kilometers long and takes an average person who doesn't have a speed-related quirk to run from the north side to the south side roughly an hour and 15 minutes. Luckily for him, Izuku wasn't an average person. Ready partner? Izuku asked his ghost hedgehog friend who appeared in front of him and grinned. Born ready. Sonic said as Izuku stretched a bit more before he got into his running position. Izuku blasted off, leaving a trail of sand behind him. Izuku was running at a fast pace which to most would think it was very quick, but to him, it was just a simple warm-up. It's been 3 weeks since I got one for all from All Might, and so far he and Sonic told me I can handle at least 10% of the power without my bones breaking and about 20% for about a few minutes before I start to feel pain to my body. I just wonder if I add it to my speed, what would happen? He continued to run down the shoreline as he enjoyed the warm sunlight that was rising and the salty sea breeze. He felt at peace with everything around him as he ran down the sandy shore. Nothing could break this peace. Unfortunately, the universe had other ideas for him. Hey! T-Pup, come back here. Izuku opened his eyes and turned to see a girl and a boy running after a robotic dog that had a red handbag in its mouth. Seeing that the two were not going to catch up with the dog at all, Izuku turned and ran to it and picked it up from the ground before skidding to a stop across the sand. Whoa there, little fella. Izuku said to the robo-pup in his hand as the girl and boy approached him. Thanks for the help. I wouldn't know what to do if T-Pup got away. The boy said while panting from the chase with the girl in a similar fashion. This boy was shorter than Izuku was with blonde hair. He wore a white t-shirt with an orange strp running across it with a bright yellow open vest over it and an orange handkerchief tied around his neck. He wore blue jean shorts with black underleggings under the short while wearing red all-star sneakers and a brown belt with a tool pouch attached to it. He also wore white fingerless gloves with yellow cuffs on them. The girl was with a rather mature physique, considering her age, was walking down the coastline. She had long black hair that was tied into a spiky ponytail with a large strand hanging on the right side of her face and onyx eyes that point slightly inwards, which seems to resemble a cat. She was wearing a rose-pink shirt, a brown knee-length skirt with black stockings on and high-heel boots. No problem, man. It's the least I could do. Izuku said as he processed to take the handbag out of the robo-pup's mouth. I believe that this belongs to you. Izuku said as he hands the handbag back to the girl. Thank you. The girl said as she takes the handbag back. Hey, I'm so sorry about T-Pup taking your purse like that. I'm still working on his behavior chip and working out the bugs. The boy said while bowing to the tall girl while she just waved her hand. Oh, it's alright. Things happen. The girl said while Izuku heard something interesting from what the blonde boy said. You built him? Izuku asked, making the blonde to look at him and smile. Yeah, I did. I built him from spare parts and scraps I could find. The blonde said. That's cool. Izuku said as he took a closer look onto the shorter boy and saw two large, fluffy fox-like tails attached to his lower back. Hey, are your tails related to your quirk? Izuku asked. The quirk fanatic in him started to appear. Oh yeah. They are, plus the ears. The boy said while two fox-like ears sprouted from the top of his head. Whoa, that's cool. So your quirk is a mutation class type? Yep, my family's quirk history is a weird one. Most of them have only had either a single tail or not. But I was born with a pair of tails and mine had fur while the rest either had a patch of fur on either the tip or bottom of their tails. Miles explained while brushing one of his tails. That's quite interesting. Momo said as she examined the shorter boy's appendage. Izuku suddenly remembered something and smacked his forehead. Yeah. Oh, man. Where are my manners? I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Izukumidoriya. Izuku said as the two looked at him and remembered that they too forgot to introduce themselves. Oh. I too forgot to introduce myself. I'm Momo Yaoyorozu. The girl now known as Momo introduced herself. And I'm Miles Prower. The boy introduced himself as now known as Miles. Izuku noticed the name and had a question. Miles. That's not a Japanese. Izuku said, causing Miles to scratch his cheek. Yeah, it's not. I'm from America. I came here to live with my cousin as I can attend you. Hi. Miles said, gaining the other two's attention. You. So you're going for it too, huh? What course you're going for? Izuku asked. Oh, I'm going for support course. I like to tinker with machines and make gadgets. Miles said. I'm gunning for the hero course. It's been a dream for mine to become a fine hero. I'm going for the heroics course as well. But I've already been accepted. Momo said, making the two boys look at her. What? How? Izuku asked, surprised to meet someone who's already in UA. Miles wanted to know too. I got a recommendation because of my high marks in Quirk. Momo explained. Really? You might have a really powerful quirk for you to get a recommendation. Izuku said. Could you tell us what it is? Miles asked with Momo just placing her handbag to the ground. My quirk is called, creation. Apart from living things, I can replicate virtually any object, no matter how complex or advanced its structure may be. I only have to understand the atomic configuration of said object in order to reproduce it. First I need to imagine the necessary parts for what I want to create, followed by the materials, then the assembling process and, finally, the coding. Momo explained as she holds her hand out and a blue and pink glow emanated from it as 3 matryoshka dolls. That looked like her. Izuku and Miles came out of it. That's OP, Izuku said, awestruck at Momo's quirk while looking at the matryoshka doll. Yeah, with your quirk. You could do a lot of good things on the field. Miles said, marveled at Momo's quirk. The tall girl smiled at their comments. Why thank you. Momo said as she turns to Izuku. What can your quirk do? Momo asked Izuku, who just grinned. Oh, well, my quirk lets me do this. Izuku said with blue and green lighting to start it surging off him, and he ran back to the other side of the beach in a single second, and which made a sonic boom and made Miles to hide behind Momo. What's wrong, dude? Izuku asked, seeing Miles hide behind Momo and was shaking. Sorry. I'm just coronaphobic. I have a fear of lighting and thunder, and when I saw that blue lighting come off you and that loud bang, I got scared quickly. Miles said. Oh man. Sorry, I didn't know about your fear. Izuku apologized with Miles waving his head. It's fine. You didn't know. It's cool. I'm starting to see clam down. Miles said, staring to calm down as Momo took out her phone and saw a message from her parents. Well, looks like I have to go now. My parents are coming to see my new apartment. Momo said as Miles picked Teapup up. Same, I got to start heading back for breakfast. Miles said. The two were about to leave when Izuku ran up to them. I could drop you guys at the train station. Izuku offered. Are you sure? We don't want to bother you on this. Momo asked with Izuku waving his hand off. Nah, I live in the area so it's fine for me. Izuku said. Okay then. Momo said as the three walked to the nearest train station while also talk about stuff. Eventually, they arrived to the train station. Well, this is it. I hope you guys have a safe trip. Izuku said. You too. Momo said as they started to depart to their separate ways when Miles had an idea. Hey. Miles yells, making Izuku and Momo stop walking and turn to him. Let's exchange numbers. So we can keep contact to each other. Miles said with his phone. That's a great idea, Miles-san. Momo said as she pulled out hers. Sure. Izuku said as he took out his phone and exchanged their numbers to one another. Well, I'll see you guys later then. Yes. Yeah. Bye Momo and Izuku. Miles said. Goodbye Midoriya-san and Miles-san. Momo said. Bye. Izuku said as the three parted ways with Miles and Momo heading to their trains while Izuku was making his way back to home as Sonic was floating above him and was watching Miles walk with a thought in his mind. Why do I feel like I knew that kid before? Sonic thought, but he filed the thought to the back of his head for a later day. This was it. Today was the day that Izuku had been waiting for since well ever. Today was the day of the UA entrance exams. There, he, Mina and Ochako were standing at the gate that led into the school grounds and to the main building where other hopefully students were walking onto the campus and to the main building to go and wait their written exams. This is it, ladies, this is where our journey into becoming heroes begin. Izuku said to the girls. Yep, all that training and prep has led us to this moment. Ochako said. So, what are we waiting for? We've got an exam to crush into dust. Mina yelled as the other two nodded and proceeded onto the campus but. Stupid Deku, round face and raccoon eyes. The three heard a very familiar voice behind them and knew who was the owner of the voice. They turned around and saw Bakugou walking as well with a scarf around his neck and his hands tucked inside his pockets as he had his usual scowl expression on his face. And good morning to you too, Bakugou. How are you doing? Izuku greeted Bakugou with just. Get out of my way before I set you on fire. Bakugou growled out with Mina and Ochako glaring at him while Izuku just shook his head. And when have you ever been able to set me on fire or blow me up? If I'm right, the score towards our little battles over the years stand 95-5 in my favor. If you want to help me get to triple digits, then by all means try. Izuku said with a sly grin on his face as Bakugou got mad and walked around them as he grumbled something in the terms, speedy loser, and, stupid Deku. Let's just ignore him and make our way to the building. 'Cause we've got an exam to crush. Izuku said. Right. The girls said as the trio started to make their way to the building. Izuku. The trio stopped once they heard someone. Miles. Dude, it's good to see you again. Izuku said as the short blonde boy stopped and Izuku grabbed him and gave him a playful noogie. Ah, Deku. Who's this? Ochako asked. She and Mina were confused as they watched Izuku noogie the shorter boy. Izuku let go of Miles and turned to them. Oh, right. Mina, Ochako. This is Miles Prower. He's an American I met a while ago at the beach while he was testing one of his inventions. Izuku said. It's nice to meet you too. Miles said as he bowed to the girls. Nice to meet you, Miles-san. Waraka said as she and Mina bowed back to him. Nice to meet you too, Prower. Say, aren't you a little young to be in high school? Mina asked, seeing that Miles was a bit younger than them. Yes I am. But I'm a genius and I passed middle school early and due to my status as a genius, I was allowed to enter any high school of my choice, so I picked you cause it's one of the best in the world to go to. Miles explained. So, what course are you going to enter in? Uraraka asked. I'm aiming to go into the support course. I like to tinker and create things with machines. Miles said. That's cool. The girls said while Izuku checked his phone and saw that it was nearly time for the exams to start. Okay guys, I think it's time to head inside cause if we don't, none of us will get in. Izuku said as the four now rush into the building and headed to their designated exam areas to write their written exams. The written portion of the exam was difficult but Izuku thought he aced it with some minutes to spare thanks to his intelligence and the studying he did during his 10-month training. Izuku, Ochako, Mina and the rest of the examins were in an auditorium while Miles was in another one for those who were going into the support course. Izuku sat down and waited for the explanation to begin, but unfortunately for him, he sat right next to his former childhood friend turned bully who was less than pleased from having to sit next to Izuku. As the lights turned on and saw a man walk on stage. He was a tall and slim man with long blonde hair, which he made it spike upwards in a huge tuft behind his head, and a small mustache. He had rectangular eyes with concentric greenish-yellow pupils, and he was smiling or grinning. He was wearing something that consists of a black jacket with a very tall collar, upturned and complete with studs, and matching black pants and knee-high boots. He was sporting tan shoulder pads and a red belt and elbow pads, all studded, and black fingerless gloves. He had something around his neck, it was a directional speaker, and he had a pair of headphones with the word "Hage" written on the headband, and a pair of orange-tinted shades. He was the voice hero, Present Mike. What's up UA candidates, thanks for tuning in to me. Your school DJ. Come on, let me hear ya. Present Mike shouts out. Yeah. Izuku. Mina and Ochako yell while the rest was in complete silence. I hear some fans to the main show. Present Mike said, happy that some people were lively as he was. He pressed a button on his remote and the screen turned on. Let's talk about how this practical exam is gonna go down. Okay. Are you ready? Present Mike asked with the trio whistling in response to his question. Okay. Now, like your application said, today you rocking boys and girls with be in a 10-minute mock battle in a simulated suburban city. After I drop the mic here, you'll be escorted to your specified battle centers. Everything good? Present Mike said as Izuku, Mina, Ochako, and Bakugou look at their examine I.D cards and saw that Izuku was going to be in Battle Center B while Bakugou was going to be at Battle Center A, Mina was going to Battle Center D while Ochako was going to Center C. I see. So they spiting us up so we can't work together with friends. Bakugou said, figuring out the purpose for the different locations while looking at his and Izuku's ID cards. Izuku looked at Bakugou's exam ID which Bakugou noticed and glared at him. Get your eyes off my card. Bakugou growled. But you looked at my first, dumbass. Izuku retaliated as Bakugou just snarled and turned away from him while his left heel started to tap onto the floor. DMN. I was looking forward into crushing you three pricks to the ground. Bakugou said, ignoring what Izuku said as he now realized that he couldn't crush Izuku during their mock battles due to the different locations. Okay. Check out your targets. There are 3 types of mock villains in every battle center, you'll earn points based on their level of difficulties. So you better choose wisely. Your goal is to rise your points by shredding these foes like in a mid-song guitar solo. But check it, make sure you keep things heroic. Attack other students as AU.A, no, you dig? Present Mike said. Excuse me sir, but I have a question. One student said as he stood up and with his hand up. Hit me. Present Mike pointed to the student when a stoplight lit over him. This student was relatively tall and muscular with a wide frame. He had short dark blue hair, flattened neatly down and parted on the left of his head, a small patch completely shaved near the base of his head, and rather square eyes which matched the notably pointed shape of his jaw. He had a serious expression glasses on, while his uniform was something that looked like a private school and he wore glasses. On the printout. You listed 4 types of villains, not 3. With all respect, if this is an error on UA material. It is shamefully. We are students who expect the best from Japan's best school, a mistake like this won't do. And you, with the green unkempt hair and with the dyed blue highlights. This student pointed to Izuku who looked a bit surprised from being called out. Yeah. You've been muttering and tapping your foot onto the ground at a fast pace this whole time and the dyed parts of your hair is not one that a student should have. It makes you look like a delinquent. If you can't take this serious, then I suggest that you leave. The student said as Izuku just narrowed his eyes at him. And where's the problem in that? I was tapping my foot, 'cause I don't like sitting still for too long, and my muttering helps me think for a plan at a fast pace. That's how it's been for me ever since I was 5, and the same goes for my blue highlights in my hair. They're natural, not dyed. They've been that way for a long time just after my quirk appeared. You say my tapping and muttering is distracting and annoying. Well, I don't say anyone else complaining. If my hobbits are distracting you, then you're not meant to be a hero if you're easily distracted by the tiniest thing. Izuku said as the student started to laugh at the blue-haired kid who sat back down, embarrassed that Izuku roasted him. Alright, chill listeners. Examine number 7111, thanks for calling in with your request. The fourth villain type is worth 0 points. That guy is just an obstacle that will be throwing your way. There's one in every battle center. It actions like a hurdle that you should try to avoid. It's not that it can't be beaten, but there's kinda no point. I recommend that my listeners should focus on the ones on the top of the charts. Present Mike said. Thank you ever much. Please, continue. The student bowed and sat back down. The students in the auditorium reveal that it's like traps that you have to get by like in a video game. That's all I got for you today. I'll sign off with a little present. A sample of our school motto. As General Napoleon Bonaparte once laid down, a true hero is one who overcomes life's misfortunes. Now that's a tasty sound bite. Present Mike grinned. Good luck. I hope you've been practicing that just reading books. Present Mike shouted. The candidates were at their mock cities as Izuku's group were at their gate. They were stretching while Izuku stood there in his tracksuit and running shorts while he was looking at the other candidates in his group. Okay, this is it. A mock battle. How come none of these guys look nervous at all? Are they that confident that they'll pass? Some of them even have special gear. Izuku said when he saw a kid who was slim-built with a rather feminine face. He had long blonde hair, worn flattened down around the majority of his head, spiked and sticking out to the sides at the bottom of it, with a side fringe that curves upwards a little before it does down. He had notably long eyelashes. He had a simple yet convenient belt around his stomach. Izuku continued to look around until he spotted a girl in the crowd at the front of the gate as she was taking short breaths and was shaking a bit. She's stressed. Izuku thought. Maybe I should go and help her. Izuku thought. He started to walk to her when a hand grabbed his shoulder. He turned around and saw that it was the boy with the glasses grabbing his shoulder, which caused him to be afraid. Damn it. He's here too. The glasses looked at where Izuku was going and saw the girl, and from his point of view, she looked like she was trying to calm herself down. She looks like she's trying to focus on the trials ahead. The boy looked down to Izuku and gave him a pointed look. What are you going to do? Distract her and ruin her chances to succeed? The boy assumed, which caused Izuku to frown. Okay, first off. Don't touch me. Izuku said as he pushes the glasses boy's hand off his shoulder. Second of all, can't you see that she's nervous and probably panicking? I was just gonna go to her and calm her nerves down and talk to her off a bit, but I got you holding me back, 'cause you jumped conclusions again. If you're such a stick in the mud. Maybe being a hero isn't for you. So, what you got to say to me about that? Izuku asked as he waited for a response from the specs-wearing boy but got nothing. That's what I thought. Izuku said as he takes the glasses-wearing kid's hand off his shoulder and walks to the girl again. Hey. Izuku greeted, making the girl turn to him. Oh, hello. Karo. The girl said with a little croak after her sentence. You looked a bit stressed out here and I just wanted to check on you. Izuku said as the girl looked embarrassed. Sorry for making you worry about me. I'm just a little nervous about this. The girl said. I can see that. I have a solution to it. Thought. Just in a deep breath and hold it for 10 seconds and exhale slowly. Repeat that a few times and it should help you. Izuku said with the girl nodding her head. She took in a deep breath and held it of 10 seconds right before she let it out. She did this. Thanks. The girl thanked Izuku, who just smiled. No problem. It's the least I could do. Go. Everyone looked up and saw Present Mike was looking down onto them from his pillar. What are you all standing around for? There are no countdowns in a real battle. Get going. I mean, that green-haired kid with the blue highlights is already in there and is racking up points. So move it. Mike yells as everyone turns to where Izuku was standing, but only found a faint dust trail leading into the mock city, and them hearing a few explosions in the distance told them that Izuku was already in the lead. They all rushed in the city in a panic in hopes that there were still robots for them. Once they had entered the city, they begun to search for a robot to destroy and earn points, but to their surprise, they saw robots, but most of them were destroyed as most were smashed into pieces while some had a hole going through a chest. What the hell happened here? One of the examines asked as she saw the destruction that was in front of her. Seeing that most of the robots were destroyed and that time was not on their side, the hopefuls spilt up and went on their way in search of their targets. Unknown room. Clearly the examines have no idea how many villains are present or their locations. They have limited time, must cover a vast area, and hunt down every last target. A judge commented as he and the rest for the teachers and judges were watching the exam location on a display screen. Some use information gathering abilities to plan out strategies. A teacher commented as a picture for a kid with tentacles was on a building as he looked on with one of the tentacles gaining an eye on the end of it. While others rely on their speed to pull ahead of their peers, another teacher said, but this one said female, as an image of the glasses wearing kid ran and skid on the ground before he kicked one of the robots as tail piles on his calves were shooting out exhaust smoke. Of course, remaining calm under pressure can be a huge advantage. Another judge said as a blonde feminine-looking boy with the belt strapped around his stomach area appeared as he looked right at the camera. As pure power and combat ability. The last one was another teacher, but this one had a Western accent, said as Bakugou appeared while he was panting and grinned like a crazed maniac with a robot smoking. The most successful students use a combination of all those tactics. They're the ones who rack up the highest scores. A bear, mouse, dog, whatever it was, said as it was looking at two screens at once. One showed Mina was barefoot and was currently skating down the street in her battle city with the use of her acid and was throwing ball on acid to the robots and making them melt away. Another one was showing Ochako, who was running in between a group of robots and touching them with her fingers, which made them float right before she pressed her fingertips together and caused them to fall back to the ground and get damage enough for her to earn points. True, and what's that kid doing up there? One of the teachers asked, seeing something on one of the monitors which made the rest look at who was he looking at, and saw Izuku, who was on top of one of the buildings and was laying there on his back as he watched the sky with no care of the world, as he looked like he was saying something but they couldn't hear what he was saying. Who is that and what's his current score? The female teacher asked as Mike pulled out a tablet which was recording the examinee's score live. He scrolled through the tablet until he found Izuku's info. His name is izukumidoriya. His current score is 65 villain points and he got them in under 2 minutes. Mike yells as he read the current recordings of Izuku's score, which made everyone else's eyes open wide at the news of Izuku's current score and how long it took him to get them. What? How? The exam just started. Pull up the footage on one izukumidoriya when his exam started. The unknown animal said to the computer as it rewound the footage to when battle center B to the second to when the exam started. 2 minutes ago, the start of the exam. Thanks. The girl thanked Izuku, who just smiled. No problem. It's the least I could do. Go. Izuku heard Mike yell, but to him it was in slow motion to him as the rest of the world around him moving at a very slow pace. Is he always this loud? Izuku turned and saw Sonic was beside him and looked at Mike, who was still saying, go, at the slow pace the world was currently going on. Yeah. But that's because of his quirk. Izuku said as he begun to stretch. Man, quirks are so strange. Sonic said. Ain't that the truth? Izuku said as he finished his stretches. So, how are you going to do this? Simple and clean. Or fast and dirty? Sonic asked Izuku, who just looked at him and gave him a look which the blue hedgehog returned right before the two laughed for a little and calmed down. Fast and dirty? Sonic asked, but he knew the answer. Fast and dirty. Izuku said right before he took off and ran into the city and started to search of the robots. His search didn't take long as he found a group of robots in front of him. He smirks as he rolled into a ball and dashed towards the robots and slammed right into them. Izuku unrolled and looked back to see that the robots were now in pieces. Too easy. Izuku said right before he continued to run again and slam down robots that were in his path. Present. Whoa, that's kids fast, one of the teachers said, in awe at the sheer speed that Izuku used. I'd say that this year's group looks promising, the female's voice was heard. Well, that's still plenty of time before it's over. The real test has yet to come. If I may, sir. A voice asked the bear dog mouse whatever it is who was looking at Izuku. Ah, yes. You may press it. The bear dog mouse whatever said, not once taking his eyes off Izuku. Let's see if those files and data on you is true. Show me what you can do, young Midoriya. A hand opened a case which held a red button and pressed it. With Izuku. Izuku was still on top of the roof on the building and was nodding to some music which he was currently listening to from a portable player he brought for the exam, and he was singing to the song without a care to the world. I look up to the sky. And now the world is mine. I've known it all my life. I made it, I made it. Floating over him was the ghostly form of Sonic, who was also nodding his head to the music as well and too was singing to the sing with his human companion. I used to dream about the life I'm living now. I know that there's no doubt. I made it, I made it. With the next version took over as the two speed freaks continued to nod it to the beat of the song while relaxing while jamming to some music when Sonic realized something. Hey Izuku. Sonic called out, catching Izuku's attention. Yeah buddy. Izuku said. Shouldn't you be still battling against some robots? Sonic asked. Oh that. Well, I'm sorted man. I mean, I think I got enough points to get in. And like Kevin Rudolph has said, I know that there's no doubt. I made it, dot. Izuku said but sang the last part as he was confident that he got into U.A with the amount of points he racked up. I guess so. Sonic said as the two went back to their relaxation. That however was interrupted when Izuku felt the building rumble a bit. Hey, why's the building shaking? Izuku asked as he looked down to the streets and saw a large amount of students were running out of a large dust cloud and back to the gate of the city where they had entered, which made Izuku and Sonic curious as to what was going on. Something is going on. Wanna go and check it out? Sonic asked with Izuku nodding. Yeah. Izuku said as he grabbed the portable player and ran down on the building's side and landed back onto the street as he watched everyone ran of their lives. Izuku grabbed one of the examinees by the shoulders and faced her. Hey! Do you know what's going on? Izuku asked, wanting to know what the hell was going on. That. The examinee pointed towards the dust cloud and made Izuku look at it to see what was she pointing at and making everyone panic as the examine ran away. Izuku continued to look for what was causing all this panic and got his answer when he looked up and saw a titan-sized robot, staring down on them and crushing a building over them. Whoa, Izuku utters out, surprised at the sheer size of the robot that was in front of him. Present Mike stretched his hand in the air and held 2 fingers out. Less than 2 minutes remaining. He announced. Guess it's time of me to go. Izuku thought as he turned around and was about to run back to the when. Help. He stopped himself as he heard a very familiar voice yell out. He turned around and saw the frog-like girl were trapped under debris while trying to get out of the debris with her tongue as her hands were trapped under the debris. The robot then looked over the street and shot out red laser that were hitting the students who were unaware for them. Unknown room. Is that support to happen? The female teacher asked. No, it's not. Nizu, there's a girl trapped under those debris and the robot is about to stomp on her. And why is it shooting red dots at the retreating students? Another judge asked, making everyone look at the monitors and see that the zero-pointer was shooting red dots at multiple students and was aiming missiles at them. It's targeting them. The Chima yelled, seeing what was going on as it reached of a radio on the control panel and called someone on it. Power loader. The zero-pointer is targeting the students. It's not support to do that. Shut it down, the Chima yelled into the radio, waiting of the other side to respond to him, and he got one, but not the one he was looking for. The button is not working. I can't stop it. A man who was called Power Loader yelled through the radio as he was trying to shut the machine down. It wasn't responding. The zero-pointer finally locked onto its targets and lifted its foot to take a step as it fired an assortment of missiles at the examinees at high speeds, which made it impossible to dodge. That is, until things started to slow down. The world once again was moving at very slow pace, with everything and everyone were moving slow. Well, all but one. Izuku was the only who was still moving around normally as he looks at himself and sees the blue lighting that courses off while the blue highlights in his hair were glowing. I'm back here again. Izuku said as he knew what that meant. He looked around and saw that the missiles were already near the students, that the missiles were targeting them. He turned around and saw the robot's foot was about to stomp onto the trapped girl. This was bad. This was very bad. I'm not going to be fast enough to save them. Izuku said, panicking that he couldn't save everyone at once. I know what you can do. Izuku looked up and saw Sonic was floating in front of him with a serious expression on his face. What? Izuku asked. Go fast. You've got to go fast. Faster than you've ever gone before. Sonic said before he disappeared in front of the boy. Izuku's eyes went wide of a second before his expression became serious. He positions himself in a running starts while the blue lighting starts to pick up as they were sparking off him and jumping towards objects as red vein-like lines appear across his skin right before they faded away and green lighting appear and started to surge with the blue lighting. Izuku opened his eyes and revealed that his irises were glowing blue with a hint of emerald green in them. Izuku took off, leaving a mini crater from his set-off as he ran towards the kids who were targeted by the robot. He reached them one by one and either moved them out of the way of the missile or redirected the missile to miss them but hit something else, like another building or each other. He then took the kids and then placed them with the rest of the examinees one by one. Izuku then ran towards the trapped girl. He made it right as the foot started to lower itself back to the ground. He started to move the debris off of the girl and looked around her to see if she was okay. He frowned as he saw her left ankle was purple. Not good. Izuku thought as he knew that she wasn't going to walk out of here on her own. So he picked her up and carried her bridal style and ran back to What happened? The frog girl asked. She was sure that she was about to be crushed and her life was about to end. And now, she was safe. What happened? You good? She looked up and saw the boy from earlier was carrying her and looking at her with a concerned expression on his face. Why yeah, the girl answered. Good. Izuku said with a small smile, but he stopped smiling as he felt the ground shake. He turned his head back and saw the zero-pointer was looking at them. Looks like he's not done yet. Izuku said as he placed the girl down. You stay here while I go and take care of Tin-kan over there. Izuku said as he. Everyone, go. Get out of here. I'll handle this, and someone please take her to get treated. Izuku yelled, making everyone he just saved run as one of them picked the girl up and ran her back to the gate. Izuku walked towards the zero-pointer as it looked at him right before multiple red lasers aimed right at him as Izuku glared at the dumb machine as he stopped right in front of it. The boy just went down to his hands and knees and got into a running position. Ready and waiting for the machine to make the first move. He didn't have to wait long as the machine made its move and fired the missiles at him. Izuku charged forward to the machine as he evaded the missiles and started to ascend up a wall. He stops on it for a moment right before he jumped and rolled into a ball and attacks the robot as he crashes onto it and bounce off it and land onto another wall and launching off the wall again and attack the robot. He does this again, and again, and again as he ricochets off it and off the walls in a blue and green haze which continued to do so as he gained more speed which damaged the robot even more than ever. Eventually, Izuku landed back onto the street and slides back to his started position, looked back to the robot and smirked at it. Game over. Izuku said as he rolls into a ball again and starts to rev himself, which let out a noise that sounded like a buzzsaw. Spin dash smash. Izuku yelled as he hurls himself towards the nose of the robot and completely wrecks it and unknowingly lets out a massive blue pulse. The blue pulse spread through to the other battle centers and into the city with every electronic items like TVs, computers, phones, the trains, cars etc. to shut off and spread across Japan and into outer space with a satellite shutting off. The zero-pointer stood absolutely still for a few moments right before it started to fall backwards and crash into the buildings that were behind it and exploded into a giant ball of flames. Izuku flew back down to the ground and slid down a piece of scrap metal from the remains of the zero-pointer and landed safely back to the ground. Oh ho. Yeah. Who's the baddest? This guy's the baddest. Izuku, 1, Big Robo, a 0. Izuku said as he started to break dance in victory of his epic takedown of the zero-pointer. Everyone watched him doing his break dancing in awe from the display of power that Izuku used in taking the zero-pointer down. Whoa! How is he not dead? What a quirk! As the candidates were talking, the glasses boy just watched as he looked down. They're all missing the point. Do they see what he did? He taught as he turns to the two girls watching Izuku's body. He sacrificed everything, just to save those girls. He must have known how little time was left. How many points he needed to pass. That he was putting his life on the line. But despite those concerns, he didn't hesitate to go and jump. He thought while clenching his hands. If this hadn't been an exam then of course, I would have done the same thing. He thought before he realized something. Wait, the exam. The judges. They saw that. He started to think on this theory he now had. Back in the unknown room. The teachers and judges' jaws were on the ground after seeing the last image of the battle between Izuku and the zero-pointer right before the blue pulse shut down their systems. The speed and power behind that attack was more than enough to utterly destroy the zero-pointer, but to also knock out their power was something else. Holy CRP. He knocked out everything with just one big hit. My god. Again, holy CRP. The bear dog mouse whatever looked at the image and grinned at this. This year's first years had just gotten more interesting. I think we might have found the next one. Itashinori. The bear dog mouse whatever said as it turned to a very familiar skinny person as that person just smiled to the bear dog mouse whatever. Yes sir. I think we have, the skinny person said as the two got up and left the room. A week later. Midoriya household, Mizutofu, Japan. Izuku was in his living room, as he held a blue and green electric guitar in his hands while he was tuning it. Eri was with him in the room as she was coloring in a picture in her coloring book. Inko was in the kitchen and was preparing that night's dinner. Based from my own estimates. I think I aced the written part of the exam and I had a solid 65 points in the practical exam. I think I'm safe. But ever since the exam, I haven't been able to get into touch with All Might. I hope everything's okay. Izuku thought before he sighed. His mother turned to him after retrieving a book with her quirk. I know. Waiting for the results is terrible. Inko said, trying to lift Izuku's spirits. I guess, Izuku mumbled out as he started to strum a little bit with his guitar. Inko saw that Izuku wasn't in the best of moods, so she washed her hands and walked to him and placed. No matter what, I just want to let you know that I'm proud for you and I think that you're really cool, sweetie. Inko reassured Izuku as he just smiled a bit. Thanks Mom, Izuku said, but before any of them could do anything else. The doorbell went off, showing that someone was at the door. Coming. Inko said as she got up and went to the front door to see what was there. Mommy's really nice ha Onie-chan. Eri said as Izuku just chuckled at her statement. Yeah. And that's why she's the best mom ever. Izuku. I didn't tell my mom about All Might or his select. I wanted him to continue to be the symbol of peace of everyone. The number one hero. Besides, he trusts me. So I'll keep my mouth shut. Izuku thought as he places his phone to the table and went back to his strumming. Just then, the door opened up and Izuku turned to see his mother on the floor and she scrambled on her knees. A letter. A letter. Izuku, look, it came, a letter. It came. Inko said before she pulled herself together and shows him a letter. It's here. A letter from UA. Inko shouted right before a gush of wind blew by and she heard a door open and close. She looked at her hand where the letter was and saw that it wasn't there anymore and looked to the couch and saw that Izuku wasn't there either. Izuku was in his now locked room while his mom was pacing back and forth in the hallway. Inside the bedroom, Izuku was at his desk and was looking at the envelope before he takes the letter and rips it open. As it opens, a metal disc falls to the desk and a hologram scene pops it. Booyah, I am here as a projection. All Might in his hero form appeared in the hologram which startled Izuku. All Might. But this is from UA. Isn't it? Izuku questioned while watching the hologram. I know it's been a while. But, with great power comes a great amount for paperwork. My apologies, young man. All Might bowed as Izuku watched the hologram until a thought crossed his mind. Wait, if All Might's at UA and he's on the hologram. Then, does that mean, Izuku thought as his concussion was coming. I feel that you've figured it out. That's right. I didn't just come to this city to fight villains. You are looking at the new staff member of UA High. All Might said. A hand popped out of nowhere and tapped All Might's arm as the number one hero turned to the owner of the hand. Huh? Yes, what's the matter? Who's showboating? Oh, sorry, but I have to show him something first. All Might said as Izuku sighed. Okay, moving on. You passed the written part of the exam with flying colors. 94.5% grade is impressive. And in the practical exam, you scored an impressive 65 points, which is more than enough to pass the exam. All Might said as Izuku let out a breath of relief. But there was more to the exam than what meets the eye. All Might said, making Izuku to look at him. There were points to score in the exam, but who said villain's point were the only points to score? Izuku's completely attention was now caught by what the number one hero just said. What did he mean by that? That's right. But before we look at your results, we have a surprise for you. Here, a short clip for your viewing pleasure. All Might said as he turned on a screen and a video of Izuku saving the girl and the others from the zero-pointer. What do you see here, young Midoriya? All Might asked. Myself. No, I see a young man who went out of his way in rushing into a dangerous situation and in turn saving a group of people he's probably never met nor knew before and saved them from danger. If that doesn't show heroics and bravery, then I don't know what is. All Might said as he turns back to Izuku. You have 2 quirks now, yes. But it's your actions that inspire others. Young Midoriya. You see, the practical exam has a hidden factor. You see, the exam wasn't graded on combat alone. It had a hidden meaning to it. For us to test you and to see if you had the drive of being a hero. All Might said, which caught Izuku's attention as the clip resumes. How can a hero course reject someone who is committed into saving other, regardless for the risks to himself? After all, that is what makes a hero. All Might said right before he shut the video off. Which is why I have to show you this. All Might said as a scoreboard appeared with the top 10 candidates being shown, and Izuku went into shock when he saw his name on the board. We have rescue points. A panel of judges watches and they award points for heroic acts beyond just fighting villains. All Might said. Yes, and for your sacrifice and the saving of the students, you earned these points. All Might said as Izuku's results displayed onto the hologram. Rank 1, Izukumidoriya, villain points, 65 plus rescue points, 89 is equal to 154. Rank 2, Katsuki Bakugou, villain points, 77 plus rescue points, 0 is equal to 77. Rank 3, Eijiro Kirishima, villian points, 39 plus rescue points, 35 is equal to 74. Rank 4, Ibara Shiozaki, villian points, 36 plus rescue points, 32 is equal to 68. Rank 5, Ochiko Uraraka, villain points, 28 plus rescue points, 35 is equal to 63. Izuku couldn't believe his eyes right now. He was first place in the exam with more rescue points under his belt. His teacher turned to him. You passed the exam. All Might said. Is this some kind of dream? Izuku thought. Welcome, Izukumidoriya, to UA High School's heroic course. All Might congratulated Izuku, who had a big smile on his face. All Might stretch out his hand to the camera. Yes, welcome to your hero academia. Inko and Eri were outside of Izuku's room, waiting of him to finish getting his results and to see if he made it in. It felt hard for them to wait for so long, even if just a few minutes have gone by. Eventually, Izuku walked out of his room and faced them. WL. What happened, sweetie? Are you going to hero school with Mine and Okane, Oniai-chan? Eri asked. Izuku just looked at them and gave the biggest and brightest smile he's ever done. And Inko realized what happened. He did it. He got in. Oh my baby. You're in. Inko yelled as she rushed to him and gave him a bone-crushing hug. Yes. Eri cheered as she too rushed towards her brother and joined in on the hug. Izuku started crying tears of joy as the family wrapped their arms onto each other and let this moment flourish. Izuku had made it to UA. But is he really ready for it and the challenges that were ahead of him? Hey, check out the results from the exam. A teacher says while the panel of judges and teachers were watching the results. Wow, the second-place student has a lot of villain points but he doesn't have any rescue points. A female speaks in the room. He took down those foes like an ace. When most of the examines were running from the big obstacles, he stayed focused on letting the smaller opponents coming close and counterattacking. That kid is tough. One male in the room speaks. But on the opposite end, the first-place student has the most rescue points out of the applicants. The female says. He's not the first UA hopeful to take out that giant robot, but it's been a while since I've seen someone take it down with such a great force to take it down in one attack, and he even took out our systems when he did it. The male says. Yes, and the way he slammed onto it must have a lot of energy to it to pull something like that off. It's insane. Another male speaks. While everyone was talking about the results, one man stood against the wall and watched Izuku light up and spin-dashed the zero-pointer. Huh, interesting. Dagabo Beach Park, Mizudafu, Japan. All Might was standing on the sandy shores of Dagabo Beach as the waves crash. He was admiring the work of his student. He still couldn't believe the work his student, a speedy kid with nothing, cleaned the whole beach in 10 months and still participate in an exam on the same day he finished. While watching the ocean, he heard rushing footsteps behind him. He turns and sees Izukumidoriya running toward him. Hi, All Might. Izuku shouted as he skids to a halt, which also caused Toshi to spit out a lot of BLD from his mouth. Gah! Too loud, kid. Toshi says as the BLD stops gushing out. All Might's here. No way, where? All Might and Izuku look around and see a couple on the pier of the beach, clearly on a date as they look around of the number one hero when they heard Izuku shouting. Way you go on blowing my cover. Quick, say that it was a mistake. Toshi whispers to Izuku, who realizes his mistake. Right. I was just kidding. Nothing to see here. Sorry, Izuku shouts to the couple on the pier. Man, that's lame. I wanted an autograph. The couple was displeased from the mistake, Izuku says as they resumed their date. Toshi and Izuku sigh in relief that the couple bait the lie and high-five each other. Congrats on getting in. Toshi congratulating Izuku on his acceptance to U.A. I couldn't have done it without your help. Izuku replies. Oh, by the way. I didn't tell everyone at UA that I was training you. Only the important people know about you. All Might says, which confuses Izuku. Really? Izuku asks with Toshi nodding. I wasn't one of the judges, nor I didn't pull any strings to help you get in. You did that on your own. All Might compliment Izuku, who bowed and sighed in utter relief and happiness. Wow. Thanks for telling me that. I'm really glad you did that. Izuku says before he remembered something important. Oh yeah, I was really surprised to hear that you were going to be a teacher at UA. I was wondering what brought you here, since your agency, Might Tower, is in Minato, Tokyo, and everyone knows. Getting creepy. Izuku was cut off when Toshi stopped him from going full fanboy mode. But yeah. I'm going to teach there this year. The school didn't want me to tell anyone about it until they made an official announcement. The two of us meeting was just great timing. Originally, I came here to find someone who has an amazing quirk. Someone who could hold a candle well from each other. Our meeting was just the universe making things easier for both of us. Toshi says as Izuku remembers a few words Toshi says to him on the day they met. I was on the hunt to find someone worthy. So that's it. He was originally going to give it to a student. Izuku thought. Someone strong who already has a quirk. Guess I just got lucky that we met that day. Izuku thought right as another one came to him. Say, I have something to tell you. Izuku says, catching Toshi's attention. Sure, ask away. Toshi says. When I used OFA to smash that 0-pointer. It completely drained me and left me tired just as I got home. Izuku says. Really? Toshi asks, curious about this new info. Yeah, when I just run, I use my stamina as an energy source to run at my usual speeds for long periods. And to compensate for that, I have to eat a lot of food to keep myself go and not get tired after running. I usually eat a lot of chili dogs during the day, which my best friends are trying to make me quit due to how many I eat. Izuku says while rubbing the back of his head, remembering the many ways Mina and Ochako have tried to make him stop eating a lot of chili dogs but fail every time. But when I used OFA and my speed together, it completely drained me. Izuku explains. What do I do? Izuku asks as Toshi turns around and faces Izuku. You'll just have to learn how to adjust to it. Hoping to MSTR it right away is like asking a baby to run a marathon. You still have to go through the process of learning how to walk. I thought you'll know from your experiences from your quirk. All Might says. Yeah, wait. You knew that the backlash was going to happen. Izuku yells in confusion as he realized the truth. Well, we're on a time limit and I wasn't too sure how it'll affect you or quirk and body when they're both working together. But it turned out alright. And, now you know what you're dealing with. All Might explains while giving Izuku a thumbs up. He then bends down. Right now, your quirk is either all or nothing. One day, you'll learn how to control your output and how to apply it on how much power you're using. All Might says while picking up 2 spray cans on the sand. I just need to learn to control it and learn to adjust to the drain. Izuku says, realizing the words his teacher was saying. That's right. You're overflowing with energy, but I suspect that you'll adapt to OFA and use it in. All Might says as Izuku looked at him. Really? Yes, but over time. Your body will handle it better. Toshi says as he crushes the cans in his transformed hand as he turned into his hero form. Then it's yours to command. All Might says while Izuku looked at him in awe before getting serious. Hey look. It is All Might. No way. Where'd he come from? The same couple that was there on their date saw All Might in hero form as the #1 hero started to sweat from his mistake. Right, now we run. All Might says as he runs away from the excited couple. Why yes, sir. Izuku says as he runs and catches up with him and the two run side to side down the sand. As the two ran, All Might looks over to Izuku and started thinking. The torch I have passed on to you is but a small flame right now. But in time, it will be kindled until you wide a raging inferno. The more powerful you become, the more you'll outshine me. Eventually, I'll retire with my job complete. Whew, deep stuff All Might. All Might thought as the two continued to run down the shoreline which was slowing turning into a race. Time skip. Do you two have everything you need? Inko asks her two children who were at the front door getting their backpacks ready. Today was an important day for them, this was their first day at new schools. For Izuku, it was the first day of his high school career while for Eri, it was her first day, not only at elementary school but to go to school for the first time. Yes, Mom/Mama. Izuku and Eri answer their mother/adoptive mom. You did pack your tissues and first aid kits in your bags, right? Inko asks. Yes. The siblings say. And your ID cards are in your pockets? Inko asks. Yes. Oh, and you didn't pack your action figures like last time, Izuku. Or apples in your bag, Eri. Mom. You going to make us late? Izuku and Eri yell, they love their mom but this was getting out of control. Sorry. It's just I'm so happy to us you two go on your next chapters in your lives, it just makes me cry a little to see you two grow up fast. Inko says as her eyes started to gain tears. Izuku and Eri see this and knew just how much this was making Inko feel. So, they get up and hug her. Mom/Mama. Izuku and Eri say as they hug Inko tightly. We might be growing up, me more than Eri, but we'll still be here for you. You're our mom, and we would trade you for anyone. Izuku says with Eri nodding along. Inko wipes her tears and hugs the siblings back with the trio staying in this hug for a few moments right before breaking the hug. Inko notices something wrong. Aren't Mina and Ochako going to meet you here? Inko asks Izuku, they are usually at their front door every day waiting to walk to school with Izuku. Nope, they said that they'll meet me at campus. They wanted to get a look around Udare before meeting up at class. Izuku explains with him and Eri finally finishing preparing them backpacks and placing them on their backs. Well, we're off. Izuku say as Eri hopped into his backpack. Have a wonderful day my babies. Inko yells to her son and adopted daughter. Bye Mom/Mama. The two adoptive siblings say as they leave the house, ready to start a new chapter in their young lives. With Izuku. After dropping Eri off at an elementary school that was near UA, Izuku used his quirk and ran to school instead of going back on the train since that would have made him late on his first day. It didn't take too long for him to arrive at his new school, the school that he's been dreaming of since ever. Union Academy, or simply known as UA. The acceptance rate at Udare for the year was as low as it always was. 1 in 300 to be accurate. 4 people already got into the heroic course through recommendations, with Momo being one as she told him on the day they met. And the other 36 hopefuls through the written and practical exams. They were split into 2 classes of 20 equal students each. Although I guess the number of females in total between both classes is small. Class 1A, 1A, 1A. Come on man, where is it? Izuku was currently jogging down the hallways of Udare while looking for his homeroom. He kept looking until... Ah, there it is. Izuku says, happy to have found his classroom, but that happiness turned into shock as he saw the size of the door. Oh man, this thing is huge. Are there giants here? Izuku says before grabbing his oversized yellow backpack tightly. The most promising students are waiting behind this door, Izuku says, preparing himself to open the door, but he stops when an image of Bakugou who looked more savage than even and ready to attack him and the glasses boy who looked like he was ready to talk down on him. Izuku's eyebrow twitches at the images as he shook those images out of his head. Nah, that's no way they're in the same class. They are probably in different classes. Maybe everyone in here is nice and friendly and... Take your feet off that desk now. Ha! Izuku cut himself off when he saw the two people he didn't want to see in the same room as he was in. It's the first day and already you're disrespecting this academy by placing your feet on school property, you hooligan. Glasses boy says as Bakugou snorted at him. You're kidding me, right? Your old school put a stick up your ass or you were born with it. Bakugou says as Izuku watches the two argue. Just my luck, Izuku thought while his eyebrow twitched once more as he was hearing the blue-haired glasses boy was speechless until he made up his mind. Let's start over. I am Tenya Ida from the Sumai Academy. The now named Ida introduces himself to Bakugou in a diplomatic way. Sumai huh? So you must think that you're better than me. I'm gonna have fun kicking your ass. Bakugou relies upon, thinking that Ida had challenged him. You would threaten me? Your classmate? Are you sure you're in the right place? Ida asks, taken back from the threat Bakugou gave out. Idiots, Izuku thought. Midori, Deku-kun. Izuku turns to see who was calling him and sees Mina and Ochako were running towards him. Oka-chan. Mina-chan. Izuku greets his besties but stops as he sees a bunch of leaves inside their hair as they finally reach him. Why are there leaves in your hair? Izuku asks as Mina glares at Ochako who turned away while playing with her index fingers. We were just walking around the campus and looking around it until someone grabbed my arm and dragged me in the bushes around the school. Mina says as she brushes the leaves out of her hair. I already said I'm sorry. I told you I thought I saw something in the bushes. Ochako apologizes while Mina continued to brush the leaves out of her messy hair. Yeah. And you will get your punishment in the form of 3-hour dance lessons from me. Mina yells, making Ochako pale white. Izuku chuckles a little as he remembers the last time Mina forced Ochako to a dance lesson with them. Let's just say that she couldn't bend her back the right way without feeling any pain for 2 weeks. Izuku, the trio turn around upon hearing someone yell and see an unknown girl approach, but to Izuku, he knew who she was. Oh hey, Momo. You're in class 1A as well? Yep. That's cool. Izu/Deku-kun. Who is this? Mina and Ochako asks in unity with their tone going monotone. Oh right. You guys never met. Oka-chan, Mina-chan. This is Momo Yaoyorozu. I met her on the same day I met this kid, Miles, who should be here in the support course. Her purse was snatched by his robodog and ran away with them chasing it. I saw this and chased after the little bot and grabbed the purse before the dog could do anything to it. Momo, this is Mina Ashido. And Ochako Uraraka. They're my childhood/best friends. I met them when I was 5 after they were getting bullied by a lunatic walking TNT and I saved them from him. We've been together ever since. Izuku introduces them to each other as Mina and Ochako stared at her with dull pupils. Nice to meet you, both say, in a monotone voice which Momo caught onto as she narrows her eyes slightly. Likewise, Momo says in her own polite but monotone way. Izuku wasn't aware of this happening and smiles seeing his new friend meeting his oldest friends. You there, the four turned to see the glasses boy was walking towards them while also caused the others in the room to see them. Izuku noticed the stares and decides to do one thing. What's up? Izuku greeted them as Ida finally approached them. Good morning. I am Tenya Ida from the Sonicexe. Yeah. I know, I heard you say your name while you were talking to TNT over there. Izuku cuts Ida off as he was introducing himself. I'm Izukumidoriya. It's nice to meet you. Izuku introduces as everyone's eyes went wide from his name. Izukumidoriya, isn't he the one who placed first in the exam? That's the kid. He doesn't seem that powerful. He looks so plain looking. The students were talking among themselves, as to how strong Izuku, but the green/blue-haired boy hears their comments and smirks. He couldn't wait until he saw the look on their faces. Midoriya, I must apologize for what I said to you during the exam. I failed to see what you saw in it. Ida says, making Izuku look at him with a raised eyebrow. What hidden objective? Izuku asks. The rescue points. Surely you were aware of them. That's why you did go and destroy the 0-pointer and save everyone there. Nah, I wasn't aware of them. I did what a hero should do. Save everyone that needs saving. Izuku says. 'Cause that's what a real hero does. They don't run when the problem grows bigger than them. They stand their ground and fight to protect the people and throw down their lives for the greater good. For the civilians, for our loved ones. Even if we go down, we should get back up and continue to fight and save until we draw our last breath. Izuku says with everyone look at him in awe for his words. Well said, kid. A voice says as Izuku, Momo, Mina, Ochako, and Ida get startled and they slowly turn around to see a yellow caterpillar with a man face on it on the floor by the door. Welcome to U.A's hero course. The man says as he unzips from what he was in and drinks a juice box. What is that thing? The group thought of as the thing turned out to be a man. A slender and tall pale-skinned man with messy, shoulder-length black hair that was partially hanging in front of his face and had half-opened black eyes. He looked worn out like he just rolled out of bed. He had facial hair but it was unkempt and his eyes almost looked tired and flat. He was sporting a ragged black outfit that consists of a long-sleeved shirt and matching pants that tuck into his boots. He was wearing a utility belt and scarf that looked like wrapping. It took you 8 seconds to shut up. That's not gonna work, time is precious. Rational students would understand that. The man says as he finished getting out what was his sleeping bag. Who is this guy? If he's here then he must be some kind of pro. But he looks so worn out, what's his deal? Izuku thought as the man looked onto the class. Hello. I am Shota Aizawa. Your teacher. The now named Aizawa introduced himself to the class with a tired voice. Our teacher. Izuku thought in shock that this guy was his new teacher. Aizawa goes into his sleeping bag. Alright. Let's get to it. Put these on and head outside. Aizawa says as he pulls out a uniform that was a pair of dark blue pants with white vertical lines going up the legs and a dark blue short-sleeve shirt with white lines that form the letters U and A. The class was confused by the request but did it so as they went to their locker rooms to change. Teacher's Lounge, UA High, Mizudafu, Japan. Toshi in his normal form was reading a book called Teacher's Dictionary. U.A doesn't follow the academic path almost schools. Get the wrong homeroom teacher and life is hell here. All Might thought right before he closed the book and turned to another. Maybe I should see who is his homeroom teacher. Toshi says as he opens a black book with, Staff Records, written on the cover. Outside U.A building. What? A Quirk assessment test. The class mutters in shock together as they arrive outside to the field where Aizawa was waiting. But orientation. We're gonna miss it. Ochako says as she stood next to Izuku and Mina. If you want to make it into the big leagues then you can't waste time on pointless ceremonies. Aizawa says, not once facing them as the class were a bit shocked by his words. Here at UA we're not bonded by traditions. That means that I can run my class in any way fit. Aizawa says as he looks back at his class to see the confused looks on most of their faces. You've been taking standardized tests most of your lives. But you never got to use your quirks in physical exams before. Aizawa says as he pulls out his phone and showed 8 things on a list. The country still thinks that we're created equal by not letting those with the most power excel. It's not rational. One day, the Ministry of Education will learn. Aizawa says before turning to Bakugou. Bakugou. You place second place with the most combat points. What was the farther distance you've thrown while you were in junior high? Aizawa asks Bakugou, who was mad, being remained that he's second to Deku but kept his angry due to answer the question. 67 meters. I think. Bakugou answers as Aizawa pulls out a ball. Okay, try doing it with your quirk. He says as he threw the ball to the walking TNT as he walks to a white circle. Anything goes. Just stay in the circle. Go on. You're wasting our time here, Aizawa instructed Bakugou as he stretches. Alright, man. You asked for it. Bakugou says before turning to face the distance he was throwing. I'll add a little heat to my pitch and that'll drop their jaws. Bakugou though while lining up for his pitch. Die. Bakugou shouted as he used his quirk to blow the ball away as Izuku looked a little disturbed by what Bakugou said. Is he saying that to the ball or me? All of you need to know you maximize capabilities. Aizawa says as the ball drops to the ground and his device records it. It that most rational way of thinking as a pro hero. Aizawa says before showing the class Bakugou's score. 705.2 meters. Whoa, 705 meters. Are you kidding me? One kid says. He had blonde hair with a black lightning strike streak on it. I wanna go. That looks like fun. One girl says. This girl was the one who on the floor had skin that was a light shade of pink, and she has rather square eyes. Her sclera was black while her irises were bright yellow, with notably long eyelashes below and around the sides. Her face is framed by short hair, fluffy and unruly, which is a pleasant pink color, slightly darker than that of her skin. She had two thin, pale yellow horns protruding from her head, hooked squarely and leaning diagonally to opposite sides, which are seen to be slightly flexible, able to bend a little to each side. Ah yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Using our quirks as much as we want. One kid says. He had large elbows and an ever-present grin on his face. The rest of the class start saying that this will be fun while Aizawa started to get pissed, which Izuku noticed. So this looks fun. Huh. Aizawa says in a monotone voice as Izuku get a bit nervous. You have 3 years here to become real heroes, you think this is gonna be all fun and playtime? Aizawa says as no one answered because the students were caught off guard by his tone. Aizawa suddenly grins. Idiots, today, you'll be competing in 8 physical tests to gauge your potential, whoever comes in last has none and will be expelled immediately. Aizawa finishes as the class goes into shocking mode. If one of them ends up in last place then they're out. CRP. He got Aizawa. All Might says while slapping his head. He was looking into the staff records to see what his little student was and saw that he was in the hardest class. Great, he'll single young Midoriya out from the start. Toshi says as he knows how crazy Aizawa's classes get. I need to go and see if things won't go overboard. Toshi says as he stands up and exits from the room to see Class 1A in action. Immediate expulsion, 8 tests. Oh, CRP not good. Izuku thought. Right now, I can only use OFA at either 5 to 10% to be safe or go all out and break something, as All Might said to me. Plus, I still haven't figured out how to factor it in with my speed yet. Izuku thought. As I said, I get to decide how I run this class. Izuku looks at his teacher to see that he lifted his hair and showed a crazed look. Understand? If you got a problem with it, you can head home right now. Aizawa says as the students looked nervous, ready, confident, or scared. Izuku looked at Aizawa before he got a determined grin on his face. You can't send one of us home. We just got here. Even if it wasn't the first day. It's not fair. Izuku turned to see what he assumed was an invisible girl speaking due to the voice he heard, and the floating clothes were giving away her figure as she spoke her mind to Aizawa. Oh, And you think natural disasters are? Aizawa shot back, causing the students to be quiet. Or power-hungry villains? Or catastrophic accidents that wipe out cities? No, the world is full of unfairness. It's a hero's job to combat that unfairness. If you want to be a pro, then you're gonna have to push yourself to the point. For the next 3 years, UA will throw one hardship at you one after the other. So, go beyond. Plus ultra style. Show what you can do. Aizawa says as Ida takes out his water bottle and drinks from it while thinking. I don't approve for this hazing, but UA is the top hero program. I have no choice. Ida thought after finishing his drink while Bakugou was rolling his arm around. Time to blow these nerds away and show that I'm the best here. Bakugou thought as Izuka had a grin on his face, not his fun grin. No, this one was a serious grin, ready for anything if sensei would throw at them. He then felt someone tap his shoulder and turns to see Momo behind him. Hey Momo. What's up? Izuku whispers to the girl. He's not going to expel us. Momo whispers back, making Izuku. How sure are you? Ochako whispers, feeling the nerves and pressure from Aizawa's threat. He's just doing this to us to make us show our quirk to him. She's right. I think I might have an idea on who this guy is, but I have to be sure. Izuku says as he looks at Aizawa with a close eye. Oh okay, Ochako says as she calms down a bit. Now then. We're wasting time just by talking. Let the games begin. Aizawa says as they start the tests. Test 1, 50 meters dash. Runners on your marks. A robot with a camera for a face said as Ida and a frog-looking girl as the two lined up at the start. A bullet sound went off and the two raced as Ida ran at fast speeds and crossed the finish line first with his time at 3.04 seconds, with the girl not too far behind him with her time at 5.58 seconds. At 50 meters, I can only get up to third gear. Ida though. Tenya Ida Quirk, engine. His legs are pretty DMN fast as they have F-% engines in his calves. He has to drink orange juice as a source of fuel. Well, at least he's in his element. Aizawa comments seeing how fast Ida went. But speed won't help him in every test. Aizawa says with he seeing the next racers line up to the start. I'll light up my clothes. Oh, and my shoes too. Ochako says as she taps her clothes and shoes with her touch producing a little pink glow. Ochako Uraraka Quirk, 0 gravity. And start. The robot says with Uraraka and her opponent running on the command. She can nullify the gravity of anything she touches. But if she uses her power too much, she'll throw up. As the race ended, Uraraka crossed the line second with a time of 6.05 seconds. It's a lot faster than in junior high. I got to thank Deku-kun for the training and the times we chased him whenever we played tag together. Uraraka thought. Happy with her results. The pair to now race was Mina and a blonde French guy as he turns around while Mina was untying her shoes. Nice attempts. But you're not showing enough style. He said as he bent a bit while facing the wrong way. He jumps and shoots a laser which pushes him at a fast speed. Yuga Aoyama Quirk, naval laser. That's right, a belly button laser. The laser stops mid-air and the French guy loses speed and momentum as he falls to the ground and Mina just skates by him as he gets up and shoots again. But Aoyama can't shoot it forever. And it gives him a tummy ache if he uses it for too long. Aoyama's time was 5.51 seconds. Mina's time was 4.05 seconds asterisk. Shooting my lovely laser of more than a second hurts my tummy. Aoyama explains his one weakness like it was nothing as everyone looked at him weirdly. Nobody asked. Testing themselves to push their limits helps me an asset in helping with room for growth. It becomes clear on what they can and can't do, Aizawa thought as the last two runners, Izuku and Bakugou, lined up. Bakugou got into position with his hands placed behind his back while Izuku just started to warm up with a few leg stretches in place. Today is the day I beat yours Deku. Bakugou says. Keep dreaming boom boom boy, you know the records still stand 95-15 in my favor. Just make sure your pants don't fall like last time. Izuku teases Bakugou, making the TNT boy shake with rage as they lined up. Ready? The robot asks as Bakugou and Izuku get into position. Go. The robot yells, firing its gun in the air. Go to hell Deku. Bakugou roars as he lets a massive explosion behind, which propels him forward. He thought that he had this race in the bag due to his early start, but a green blur dashes beside him at great speed, which also caused a huge gush of wind to follow it. Eventually, the wind and dust clears and Izuku is seen standing at the other side of the track. What took you so long? Izuku asks with a grin growing on his face upon seeing Bakugou's shocked face, with Bakugou passing the finish line. Bakugou's time, 4.15 seconds. Izuku's time, 0.000001667882 seconds. How the hell did he do that? What just happened? He just vanished at the start and reappeared at the end. The students say, in shock at the sheer speed that Izuku just displayed. Of course. This would also be his element due to how he did in the entrance exam. But, Aizawa says as he looks at the times and sees Izuku's was in first. But he then looks at him and narrows his eyes a bit. Even speed like his won't be useful in other situations. Aizawa thought. Still showing off Izuku-an, Ochako sighs as some of the others look at her and Mina as they were unfazed. Huh? Wait, you two aren't surprised by this? The red-haired teen asks. Nope. We're used to this. Mina says. Really? The lighting-streaked haired teen asks. He. Always been this fast, we've even seen him go even faster than that. We've seen him do stuff like this as we were 5. Ochako says. Yep, but it never grows old. Mina says with a smile. Yeah. Ochako says with a smile as well. DMN, I was hoping to make it to the first digit, but you get what you get. Izuku says as he pats his shoes to dust them off. Alright. Now then, let's move to the next test. Aizawa says with him leading the class to the next part of the test. Ladies. Ah, you're so sweet Deku-kun. Unaware that they were being glared by one practical person or whether Izuku was the one being glared at. DMN Deku, Bakugou quietly murmurs. Test 2, Grip Strength Test. In one of the gyms, the students were busy doing the grip strength test as they were busy gripping the machine to see their overall strength. Wow! You hit 540 kilograms. You're a beast. The kid with the large elbows complimented a classmate who was tall and had a mask on. He had multiple limbs on his arms as he used them to clock in his strength. Yeah, you're a muscle octopus. Another kid said. He was the shortest out of all of them and he had purple ball for hair. Izuku was holding one of the grip measuring machines and closed his eyes as he took a deep breath. Suddenly, green lighting started to surge off him with a faint green aura surround his body as he grips onto the machine with his right hand. A beep was heard from the machine as Izuku slowly opens his eyes and sees the machine read, 420 kilograms on it. Ha, not too bad for 6% of OFA Sonic. Izuku asks his ghostly friend who was floating above him. You bet your sweet biddy. Sonic says. Test 3, Standing Long Jump. The students returned outside of the next part of their test, the standing long jump. Here, the students used their quirks in a sandpit designed for long jumping. First was the French teen who jumped in place and shot one for his laser which propelled him forwards, clearing the pit. Next was Bakugou, who used a similar use in his turn but used his explosions to propel him forward, also clearing the pit. In her turn, Momo crafted a long pole vault staff with her quirk which she uses to pole vault across the pit, clearing it. Next was Izuku who curled his body into a green and blue ball and started to rev himself for speed which caused a buzzsaw noise. Again to the surprise of the students expect Mina, Ochako, Ida who has seen him do it before, and Aizawa right before Izuku finally lets go and dashes forwards at high speeds. Right as he was about to hit the sand, he bounces into the air and jumps over the pit, clearing it. Test 4, Repeated Side Steps. One student was great at this as he used the ball on his head and bounced from their side to side at a great speed, earning him first place. Bakugou used his quirk to shot from side to side, earning him a high spot, but it was nothing compared to Izuku who used his speed and created an afterimage as his sheer speed was too much of their naked eyes. He took the top spot and left a huge trench after he was done. Test 5, Ball Throw. The next test was the ball throw, the same one that Bakugou did at the beginning with the boy in question being excused from doing it again. Most of the students went and did their throws and earned decent distance from their attempt. Momo was the highest distance due to her using her quirk and creating a cannon to shoot the ball. Uraraka went up next and she used her quirk to take away the gravity of the ball and casually threw the ball in the air as it flew. It continued to fly until infinity. The class shouted at the record that Uraraka set while Bakugou started to shake in anger. These extras are beating me. Who do they think they are? I'm supposed to be the best me, Bakugou thought as Izuku's turn was next. The boy went to the circle and started to scroll. Nice one Ochako-chan. Mina yells as she hugs Ochako. Great job. Izuku says, also hugging her. Thanks, guys. It was nothing. Okay, let's move on. Midoriya, you're up next up. Aizawa says, making the trio break their hug. Alright, let's get her done. Izuku says as he makes his way to the circle. Wonder how he's going to throw the ball. Ida asks, watching Izuku pick up his ball. He'll probably fail and burn in hell of all I care. Bakugou mutters to himself but Ovako heard him. Still jealous he's beaten you today, Bakugou? Ochako asks, grinning as she knew how Bakugou hated that nickname. Shut it, pink cheeks. Bakugou yells. Izuku started to wind up his patch with great speed right before he let the ball go and tossed the ball in the air. The ball traveled through the air at speeds that couldn't be measured from the state alone as everyone saw it disappear into the distance. 945 meters. Whoa! That was a big throw. He used the momentum from his patch and propelled the ball into a great distance. Impassive. Ida says. Right before Izuku could go back to the others, he dodges a white sheet of wrapping from Aizawa who was glaring at him. Why'd you do that? Izuku asks but Aizawa continues to glare at him. You're holding back, stop that. Aizawa says, making everyone stop talking and look at them. How can you tell? Izuku asks. Because I can see it. Aizawa says at Izuku. Here, we expect our students to go full out here and you and one more student here aren't going full out. Well, I could go to him, I know his father would roast my ass. You, on the other hand, think this is a game. People's lives are not something to play with, they are precious things that we must take care of. If you are not serious about that, then I suggest you leave here now. Aizawa say as his glare intensives. Izuku saw the glare and knew that Aizawa wasn't in the mood for fun and games, so, he decided to spill the tea a bit. Eraser head. Quirk, erasure. You can cancel out any emitter quirk with just your stare but your eyes glow red when you use your quirk. You have googles to not give away your quirk to your opponents. Izuku explains, much to the surprise for Aizawa. Oh, so you know my name and quirk. Impassive, most people don't know me due to my hatred for attention. Aizawa says, slightly impressed at Izuku's knowledge of him. I study on heroes and their quirks a lot in my free time. That and I took your wallet. Izuku says, making Aizawa raise an eyebrow. My wallet? What do you mean? It's right Aizawa was saying as he went to his utility belt where he kept his wallet for his on-patrol coffee when he felt nothing in the pocket. He looked at the next one and found nothing, he looks back up and saw Izuku casually tossing a black wallet in his hand. Aizawa knew that wallet all too well. How did you? Aizawa asks, stunned at the sight of his wallet being held by another. When we did the 50 meters dash test, that extra gush of wind that forced everyone to close their eyes from the dust was me. I went at the speed of light and ran past you, went into your pants, and took out your wallet as a prank, but I saw your hero license and saw who you are. The man who expelled his whole class last year due to them not having any potential on your own belief. Izuku says as he throws the wallet back to its owner with his class shocked by what he just said. They thought that what he said earlier was nonsense, but now they learned that their teacher was serious. You said I'm not going full out. Please, I take everything seriously. I know full well that life is one of the most important things to a hero. If a hero can't save everyone, then they've failed. But they continue to go out there, protecting and saving those in need so that they don't fail again. We came here so we all could be pro-heroes, me included. I'm always the first guy to train on myself and my quirk, and I'm always the last guy out. If you think I'm here to play around, then F you, F anyone that thinks Izukumidoriya is a playable hero. Izuku says with everyone's eye wide as Izuku just cursed their teacher. Aizawa looked at Izuku and could see a fire in his eyes that he wanted out of him. Good. Just use everything you have in your next throw. Aizawa says as he tosses another ball to Izuku. So, you want me to go all out? Izuku asks. Yes. And I can do anything I can to throw the ball, but I have to stay inside this circle. Izuku asks again. Yes, do it now or else problem child. Aizawa says as Izuku raised an eyebrow on what he said. Problem child. Izuku thought but ignores it for now. Okay. But you guys might want to step back from this. Izuku says, making Aizawa and some of the others raise an eyebrow while Mina and Ochako listen to him and back up from him. Why? Aizawa asks. 'Cause things might get crazy from what I'm about to do. Izuku says. Everyone looks at him for a bit, moving a bit of distance away from him. Izuku looks down to the circle and sees the size of it. It was just enough of what he was about to do. He crouches down into a running stance as blue lighting started to surge off and around him. You're planning on doing that move, aren't you? Sonic asks, appearing next to the boy. Yep. But you do realize that you've never practiced it before after I told you about it. Sonic says. True, but I have no choice here. Izuku thought. Okay, but how will you stop yourself after you somehow throw the ball? Sonic asks. We'll see that when I face it. Izuku thought as he gets up and starts to jog around the circle. Soon, Izuku slowly started to pick up speed right as he was now in a full run right before that charged into a sprint with his speed increasing. He starts to draw in some wind as he curls into his ball form and continues to dash around the ram of the circle. Suddenly, a tornado starts to form from the circle and begun to vacuum the area. Aizawa and the students grabbed onto something strong and fitted into the ground as the tornado's speed continued to climb. Within the tornado, Izuku started to glow blue and green with blue and green lighting surging off him as he started to dash with the tornado's flow, making him go faster. Right as Aizawa was about to call Izuku off, the green blur escapes from the tornado and dashes right outside, and turns around to dodge towards it. He nears it right before he unfolds and tosses the ball with all of his might into the tornado. The ball hit the tornado and created a massive burst of wind pressure which sent everything and everyone flying with the ball soaring through the air. Once the wind started to settle down, everyone was on the ground after being sent flying. Aizawa sat up and shook the webs out of his head after being sent flying and looked around to see his students on the ground and the field partly damaged. He then heard a beep from his phone and looked at it to see what was on it as his eyes went wide at what he saw. 2,854 meters. So, teach? Aizawa looked up from his phone and saw Izuku was looking at him while grinning as he held a fist in the air with one of his fingers was broken. Did I pass or what? Izuku asks. This kid. Aizawa says with a crazed grin on his face. The wind started to die out as everyone in the field was in awe of what they just witnessed. The dude threw the ball over 2 kilometers. One student yells as he was in shock. Forget that, that guy made a DMN tornado from just running in a circle. Another student yells, most of them were stunned, at something that has been considering logically impossible was done by one of their new classmates. Finally, he decided to show what he can really do. Ochako says, relieved that Izuku was finally taking this seriously. Yeah, he was cutting it a bit close there. Especially pulling a stunt like stealing Sensei's wallet as a prank. Mina says, also feeling relieved. One girl, with long earlobes that were shaped into earphone jacks, turns to the two and looked at them with a raised eyebrow. Wait, you two aren't surprised by what that guy just did? The girl asks, surprised at the two lack of shock from just happened. Nah, me, Okachan and Zuka-kun grew up together and the two of us have seen him do all sorts of crazy things over the years with his quirk. Mina says with Ochako nodding to her words. Yeah, but we've never seen him do that before. That's a new move. Ochako says as Mina looks at her. Yeah, I wonder where he learned that from. Mina says, with the two girls now thinking about just how Izuku was able to do that. Impressive, to use his speed in such a creative way to increase the flight and speed of his toss with wind is something I could never dream of thinking or doing since I didn't think I can achieve that speed he has. He truly is a great rival. Ida says, with his fingers on his chin. Well, it wasn't a glorious feat, unlike my laser shot. The French dude says as he twirls around and does a dramatic pose at the end. While most of the students were thought what Izuku did was awesome, one of them had his jaw on the floor in complete shock at what he just saw. What the hell was that? He had never did that before, plus his finger broke. His DMN quirk is sonic speed, so if he could make a DMN tornado like that, it shouldn't have shot the ball like that. He's up to something, Bakugou thought as he stares at Izuku and sees the greenlet/blue highlight team clutching his fist and sees one of his fingers was broken. This was fishy. And I'm going to get to the bottom of it. Bakugou says to himself, his palms start to pop off mini explosions right before he jets straight toward Izuku. Hey Deku. Tell me how you did that or you're dead nerd. Bakugou yells, charging to Izuku. Izuku rolls his eyes and shifts into a fighting stance, ready for what Bakugou dished out. But before the explosion quirk user could even get close enough to Izuku, he was suddenly wrapped in Aizawa's scarf and the explosions he was sparking had stopped immediately. WW what the hell? Why's your scarf so DMN strong? Bakugou asks as Aizawa was behind him, with his hair and scarf floating in the air while his irises were glowing red. That's because it's a capture weapon I use when I'm out on patrol. It's made from carbon fiber and a special metal alloy. That way it'd be DMN hard for the villains I fight to escape from it. Aizawa says, staring at Bakugou with a firm yet dangerous glare at him, daring him to try and do what he was doing. Bakugou tries to use his quirk to blow the scarf off him but he found that his quirk wasn't responding to his commands as they usually do. Am I quirk? Why's my quirk not working? Bakugou asks, with Aizawa raising his eyebrow at what the boy asked. Didn't you hear what problem Speed Child said? My quirk nullifies all emitter and transformation types but not transformation types. Stand down, it'd be wise not to make me use my quirk too much in one day. It gives me dry eye, Aizawa says. Too bad, that sounds like one hell of a quirk to have. Most of the students thought in unison but were unaware that they thought the same thing. Aizawa's quirk deactivates as his hair falls back to its original style and he lets go of Bakugou and retracts his scarf. We've waited enough time now. Let's move on to the next test, Aizawa says as he moves back to the gym to conduct the final 3 tests. Soon after he did, the student follow him. Izuku walks past Bakugou who just standing in the same place he was restrained by his teacher as he was thinking back at the times Izuku had beaten him in just about any type of competitive activates you can think of, and each other. Izuku had come out on top with some cases where he won but felt that Izuku wasn't really going full out like he was. And that was really pissed him off. You DMN Deku, Bakugou thought as he grits his teeth and clutched his fist in utter anger. Izuku walks up to his friends with Mina and Ochako going over to him while everyone else watched Bakugou slunk back to where he was standing with those who were near him moving back from him, either out of fear that he'd turn his anger onto them or that they thought that he had anger issues and really didn't want to talk to him. "You okay, Deku?" Ochako asks. Izuku just nods. "Yeah." Bakugou didn't even leave a scratch on, that is if he could, even if Aizawa-sensei didn't interfere. Izuku says, but he then hisses from the sharp pain he felt from his broken finger, and the girls heard his hiss. Mina looks to his fist and sees the broken finger. "Mitter. Your finger. It's purple and not the right way." Mina says as Ochako looks down to Izuku's hand and sees the broke finger as she places her hands to her mouth in shock. "It's fine, just broke my finger in that toss," Izuku says, trying to reassure that everything was okay. "Are you feeling alright?" Okako asks, concerned about how her best friend was feeling. "Not really. It just stings every time I move it, but I can manage it, just hope we can finish these last tests before I pass out of the pain," Izuku says. "Okay, if you think you can, we'll let you do it, but if it gets too much of you to take, we're taking you to the nurse's office and get you fixed. Even if we aren't finished with our test. Got it?" Mina asks as she points at Izuku and stares at him with a firm stare. "Sure, no problem," Izuku says, holding his hands up. "Stop talking. We still got things to do and you're wasting daylight," Aizawa says, causing the trio to walk a bit faster to the gym. Test 6 sit-ups. Once the class had reached the gym, they were tasked to do the most sit-ups they could do in one sitting. At first, most of them could handle the task, but soon, all the girls quit, with Mina being the last one to quit of the girls. The boys continued on the task with little difficulty, but soon, most dropped out due to them not having the stamina or the endurance of this. Izuku, Bakugou, some spiky red-haired kid, and a teen with white and red hair were the last ones standing, but Izuku stood out on top thanks to the training All Might had him do over the course of 10 months and the stamina he had built over the years. Test 7 seated toe touch. This test did bring Izuku some difficulties due to his broken finger as he used it to do the toe touches, but he fought through the pain. Unsurprisingly, Izuku, who curled into a ball which frightened most of the students, Mina, and Ochako were the top 3 in this test thanks to years of their flexibility, yoga lessons, and dance classes that made this test too easy of them, but one student did reach the top 5, just behind them, and it was an invisible girl who seems to process flexibility limbs as well. Test 8 long distance running. This was Izuku's dream test. He smoked the others in this as he lived of long distance runs. While some did last longer than most, like Momo using a scooter she made with her Quirk, Ida in his element, Ochako and Mina running longer since they've been runs with Izuku, but none of them could really keep up with Izuku, who just ran circle passes them. Eventually, Aizawa called him to stop since it was clear to him that Izuku could go all day if he really went for it. And with that, the Quirk and psychical tests had come to an end. Everyone stood together with Aizawa standing in front of them, holding his phone out. "Alright, time to give you your results. I've rated you from best to worst and took in some factors have and then to have balanced the results out. You should probably have a good idea to where your standing is already. I'll pull up the whole list since it'll be a waste to go through it one by one," Aizawa says as he uses his phone and makes a hologram screen that showed the students' ranking in the class. Everyone had their eyes glued to the screen, looking for their name and where they placed. 1. Izukumidoriya. 2. Momo Yaoyorozu. 3. Shototodoroki. 4. Katsuki Bakugou. 5. Tenya Ida. 6. Fumikage Tokoyomi. 7. Mizo Shoji. 8. Mashireo Ojiro. 9. Eijiro Kirishima. 10. Mina Ashido. 11. Ochako Uraraka. 12. Koji Koda. 13. Rikido Sato. 14. Tsuyu Ajui. 15. Yuga Aoyama. 16. Hanta Siro. 17. Denki Kaminari. 18. Kyoka Jairu. 19. Toru Hagakure. 20. Minuro Mineta. Izuku saw that he was in first place and he grins. Alright. Now that's what I'm talking about. Izuku yells as he spins on his heels before lowering down to the ground and does a few windmill spins right before he holds his left shoe in the air with one hand while using his other hand in a b-boy dance pose before launching up in the air and lands back on his feet, striking one last pose. Ha! Top 10. Beat that Oka-chan. Mina yells as she holds a grin to Ochako who just puffs her cheeks out from seeing her ranking. Dang it! I thought I had you beat this time, Mina-chan. Ochako yells, really annoyed that her best friend had beaten her again. While some of the students let out a sigh of relief at seeing that they were safe, one student wasn't relieved seeing his rank as he started to cry in panic. No, no, no. I can't leave yet. I haven't become a hero to get to my dream. The short grape-haired kid shouts as he cries and runs around the field like a headless chicken. Aizawa clears his throat, gaining everyone's attention. Oh, that little thing I said I would expel the one in last place. Yeah, I changed my mind. No one's going home. Aizawa says, shocking everyone there, including Rh Shorty who stops upon hearing that. What, really? The teens yell. Yes, if it wasn't for a certain smartass, Aizawa says as he slowly glances towards Izuku who saw him looking at him and looks away while whistling, would have kicked you out, but I see that you have potential to become a great hero, but your drive I feel like you're here for something that's not related to saving people from evil. I would let that go and pick your slack up if you don't want to stay in the chopping block. Got it? Aizawa asks as the shorty salutes. Why yes sensei. The shorty yells. Aizawa just looks at him a bit more before turning to the invisible girl. And Hagakure. Aizawa calls to the girl as she flinches and turns to him from how her body was shifting to his position. Why yes sensei. The girl, Hagakure, says. Just because you're not in last place, but in second to last doesn't mean you're safe. You need to pick up your pace and I want to see you impressive over time. You don't want to be a burden in the field if you're tired from rescuing and fighting. Aizawa says. Why yes sir. Hagakure says as she nods. I expect you two to pull your weight and more from now on since I won't be so merciful the next time around. And Midoriya. Aizawa says as he turns to Izuku who looks at him. Yes sir. Izuku says. Do that again and your as is fried. Got it? Aizawa says as his irises glowed eerily red with his hair floating up, giving him a scary look which frightened Izuku and Sonic. Why yes sir. Izuku yells as he stiffens up. Aizawa stops his glare and quirk. And nods while giving Izuku a note. Good, now go to the old lady to get your finger fixed up. The rest of you, go get changed and meet back in the classroom. We still have one more thing to do, Aizawa says as he starts to leave the field by the side of the main building, ready to talk to who was spying on the class. Man, that guy really gives me the creeps. Just make sure you don't PSS him off again or you'll be in hell, dude. Sonic says as Izuku nods to his words. Yeah, Izuku agreed, now feeling that he needed to watch himself on how he talks to his homeroom teacher. His thoughts were cut short when he felt someone pat his back. He turns and sees it was Ida who was the one patting him in the back. Nice work Midoriya. First place again. Truly you have the great potential to become a top-tier pro. Ida says, congratulating Izuku on the ranking as the green/blue hair boy just rubs the back of his head. Ah, thanks man. But don't count yourself short Ida, 5th place in the overall ranking is impressive on its own. Izuku says, patting Ida on his back. He's right, that proves you do have what it takes to be a great hero. The two turn and see Momo was walking to them. Ah, you're in 2nd place. Momo Yaoyorozu, right? Ida asks as Momo nods. Yes, and you're Tenya Ida, correct? Momo asks, with Ida nodding. That's right. It is nice to meet you. Ida says as he holds his hand out to her. Momo takes it and the two shake hands. Nice to meet you too. Momo says, stopping the handshake. Deku-kun, Suka-kun. The three turn and sees the pink duo Ochako and Mina run toward them. Hey girls, nice work on the ranks. Izuku says as he gives his best friends a thumbs up. Thanks, I thought I'd get lower but I'm happy with 10th. But a certain someone isn't happy with hers. Mina says, grinning while Ochako puffs her cheeks out again and glares at Mina. Oh, will you quit rubbing it in my face already, Mina? I'll beat you next time, just you wait. Ochako yell as Mina and Izuku laugh. Not too far away from them, Bakugou was staring at them with anger in his eyes, mainly to Izuku. Not at how they were behaving but where he was ranked, 4th place. 4th freaking place. He could understand Izuku since the BSTRD was too OP for him to beat him in this setting, but the other three above him, that really rubbed him in the wrong way. Deku, you BSTRD, just you want. I'll prove to you and everyone else who's really number one. Me. Bakugou thought, swearing to himself that he won't be behind Izuku anymore. Unaware to him or the others, one more person was staring at Izuku with a firm yet intrigued look on his face. Izukumidoriya. He's an interesting one. Maybe I should observe him, see what makes him tick and see his connections and see just who he really is. The teen thought, making plans in his mind for observation. Soon after, we find ourselves back in Class 1A homeroom with the students back wearing their uniforms while their teacher, Aizawa, was back laying on the floor in his yellow sleeping bag. The students just watch Aizawa, who was just lying on the floor, sipping his juice pouch. Sensei Ida speaks out, gaining the lazy teacher who looks at him. Yes. Aizawa says. What are we meant to be doing here? Ida asks with Aizawa sighing while placing his juice pouch into his sleeping bag. Since we missed the opening ceremony, Aizawa says as everyone just looks at him with a deadpan expression. Geez, I wonder whose fault is that? Most of the class thought, considering that their teacher was the one who made them miss the orientation. You never got to introduce yourselves to each other. So, for now, introduce yourself to the people you'll be seeing for the next 3 years or until I decide to kick you out, Aizawa says, causing some of the class to sweat drop at his threat at the end, not knowing if he's joking or not. So what should we say? The blonde kid with the black streak asks. Just say your name, hobbies, quirk, and anything else you want to include. The choice is yours, just make it quick, Aizawa says as he turns around, most likely to sleep, and the sweat drops the students had previously grown bigger at the sight of their teacher. I don't know if I should be happy that you got a lazy guy as a teacher or afraid of you since you got a lazy guy as your teacher, Sonic says as he watches Aizawa sleep and just sweat drops. Both, I guess. Izuku could only think about his opinion of his teacher. He shakes his thoughts on Aizawa as he looks around the class and saw that no one was going to speak. So who's going to start this off? Izuku asks, making everyone turn to him before turning to each other. Trying to see just how should they do this. I suggest that we go by seating order. That way we can go quick in an orderly fashion. Ida suggests as everyone else thought it was a good idea while some couldn't be bothered. After settling with the idea, the first student, a teen with long blonde hair that looked a bit feminine, stood up. After almost all the class had done their introduction, Izuku was the only one left. He stands up from his seat and faces everyone. Sup, Izukumidoriya's the name and speed is my game. Izuku greets as he gives everyone a toothy grin. I'll say, you were hella fast back there. Is it part of your quirk? The red hair, known as Kirishima, asks. Sort of, see, my quirk is really just sonic speed. I can run pretty DMN fast, like at the speed of sound fast. Izuku explains, but one student found his explanation a bit far-fetched. The speed of speed? Should that be like, physically impossible to do since going at that speed is like, really dangerous to your body? The blonde with the black streak, Kaminari, asks. Okay, then please explain how I managed to make a tornado just by running around in a circle. Plus, Quirks have been around for so long that someone was bound to have a super speed quirk that isn't a mutant type. Izuku says as Kaminari was about to open but stops as he starts to think about what Izuku said. As this was happening, the others took the opportunity to ask Izuku questions. What's the furthest place you've ran? Ida asks with Izuku thinking on it. I think it be Fuji and back home when I was 8 years old, but I ran Miyako in the Iwate prefecture for an errand I had. Izuku says. Which was? Hagakure asks. I ran there to go and get my mom a square watermelon there for the summer since I heard that they have the best there. I ran there at my top speed back then, but I crashed into the cold dark water of the Pacific Ocean since I was going too fast and couldn't slow down in time when I got there. I got dry quick and got the watermelon and ran back home, but let me tell you, salt water stings when you crash into it at high speeds. Izuku says as he shivers at the memory of him crashing into the ocean. If it wasn't of the lifeguard there, he wouldn't be here right now. Okay, what's your top speed? The kid with large elbows, Siro, asks Izuku, who just shrugs his shoulders. I don't know. Never really clocked it. But since I'm in UA now, I could do it when we have the time. Izuku says. So, everyone, does that mean you're fast AF? Kaminari asks as everyone just facepalm at his question. Oh my god, you're so slow, the earphone girl, Jiru, says as she drags her hand across her face. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 3. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author Pixel's fanbook on fanfiction.net. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.